morning, everyone. Today is a special edition of Your View. I'm so honored to be here today. Ladies, how you guys doing? I can't actually hold myself. Well, how are you guys doing today?
I'm great.
Wow, I love this, your dress.
Thank you. How about the governor?
I wanted to take you to go and sit in that corner, but you are making sure, don't worry.
I wanted to sit there.
So how is everything? How are you doing?
I'm good.
I think I'm moving gradually.
Yeah, we're almost done. So yeah. Now we're out of fully television.
Fully out of rent.
So
now you have your own house. High five, high five.
Fantastic. We thank God.
That's good. That's good.
And good governance.
Yes. Good. Nima, how you doing?
Nima is well.
What's going on with Kufran?
I had a procedure on Saturday, so I had a reaction to it. I was not almost like a surgery, medical. So when I got home, it was just me and Gufran. I was reacting to it. So she was calling me, "Mommy, stand up." I couldn't get up. I was just looking at her. She got so frustrated. At the point, she just took a cane. Stand up now. Then she picked up my phone. She didn't dial any number. She's like, "Daddy, come. This girl."
So sweet.
She's had that
3 years old. She's like
she's
2.
two. She's just 2 this January.
Wow,
she was worried.
Yeah. Fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Good to have you on the set.
Why get in the building?
Yo, in the building.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
Looking nice and bright today.
I've become food for mosquitoes. They are beating. I used to stupid and nonsense.
You don't have net in your house.
You need to see
I have
his leg.
Government is providing free mosquito net. I'm not collecting
Mariah, leave that
in general hospital.
Something that they're already selling in traffic.
Yeah, I got my free when I was making antenatal, so we have that.
I bought to my own. Meanwhile, they're beating stupid and nonsense in my body.
You have to be careful.
I want to see if she's going to react, because you know she's not had malaria forever.
No, I've told her
see if you're going to react
from this bite.
I doubt it.
I hope not.
I doubt it. Well, I said they've used me, my hands here, my legs.
Are you for real? Were you? Yeah? Okay. It's a breakfast show, remember? You can tell us the other part, not that part. I have to say this though. Yesterday we were a bit flippant with the NBC, you know, because myself, Jumoke, talking about the whole thing with the APC suing. And I think so. And I wanted to apologize. NBC is our regulatory body, and we shouldn't actually, you know, condemn their work, because they are, according to them, they actually there's a procedure to sanction these stations. That's the stations showing this incorrect documentary on General Buhari. So they are working, they're getting that, they send them sanctions and they are working on that. But it just was wrong for us to make it look as if they're not
castigate them like
so
that.
we apologize. I had to apologize publicly. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have a newspaper review with our special guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What is art? Entities, or what you might call artifacts or performances intentionally endowed by their makers with a significant degree of aesthetic interest, often surpassing that of most everyday objects existing in virtually every human culture. In plain context, art is form, color, beauty, and depth. Join me, Tolu, on the Art Express every Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. right here on Television Continental.
Thank you for joining us. As I said, we have a special guest. I know on Twitter since yesterday, we told you have a special guest. We kept saying, don't forget to watch TV and Your View this morning because of a special guest. All right. It is with pleasure and honor that I welcome our action governor, Governor Raji Fashola, in the building.
Morning,
I have to give you a hug. Good to have you. Please come.
Thank you for coming.
Good. You go around here. So,
Good morning, Nima.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mikey. How are you doing? How are you doing?
Please have a seat.
Thank you very much.
Good. So, how you doing, Governor Fashola?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Good to have you. I hear you watch our show once in a while.
I do, not once in a while, really.
Really?
I stumbled on this show about a year ago, and I said, what were they talking about? And since then, I've become hooked, really.
We're hooked on you too.
Unfortunately, you are on at the band time when I either have to get to the office or I'm in transit. But any day I start late, be sure my wife and I watch.
You know, you can watch us online, actually.
On the go, yeah. I do that on my mobile
Just
phone.
download the TVC app.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, the bandwidth traveling from one end of the city, you drop signals, but you run a great show.
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
You mentioned your wife. She's going to be 50 in April.
Yes.
How are you guys working towards that?
Well,
It's a big age.
No, I'm not going to say anything here because.
But how has it been, the journey with her in the last 8 years with your wife?
It's been without her support, really. I sometimes wonder how I would have coped raising children at the same time and seeing them grow up. So I give her a lot of credit for being there.
Action man.
Great, good.
Please
All
don't forget to invite us to the party, Sha.
I didn't say there was a party.
All right, let's go to newspaper review first so we don't get into the discussions first. We're going to start with The Punch. Major headline. Suicide bomber strikes near Jonathan's rally venue. 3 die as PDP campaign in Akwa Ibom. Three Rivers court bombed also. I'll ban rice, tomato import, says Buhari. Family associates mourn as Okoya Thomas dies at 79. Federal government to release forensic audits report on NNPC. 5 power firms get 18.26 billion naira loan. ACF wants Tompolo, Dokubo over Danjuma. And 4 Nigerian banks listed among top 500 globally. All right, let's pick this I'll ban rice tomato from Buhari. Did anybody read that article?
Yes, yesterday when he was addressing at the business or I think economic forum hosted by our governor here, he mentioned how he was going to tackle some of these issues that we have as regards our economy, and he mentioned that we still import certain foodstuffs that we produce, you know, using agriculture to address issues, that we still import certain things that we produce here in bulk, especially tomatoes. So he wondered why we did that, and that he was going to first of all, the moment he gets in, put a ban to that. And see how we would cope.
Governor, what's your take on that?
I'm not quite sure that that was my understanding. And I think that what he sought to put across really were the necessity to become internally self-reliant, produce things that we can produce, like rice, tomato. And I think he mentioned the word that in fact, I think the word he mentioned, why were we importing tomato puree? And I think I recall him saying that, look, driving through some parts of the north, he saw wastage and that we should be processing all of that. And in the same way that I think he highlighted the fact that we were vulnerable importing fuel, and that if we had any conflict, we couldn't move our own troops on imported fuel if they decided to stop supplying us. And that our troops, as a nation, we also depended on imported food. So those were the vulnerabilities that he was emphasizing, and the potential to turn those vulnerabilities into a strength.
All right. So should we pick one more story? Let's talk about the passing of, okay, we'll talk about it in the nation. Let's move on to the nation.
The banks.
Oh, yeah.
Banks.
4 Nigerian banks. They said top 500 globally. You know the banks?
Yeah, we are not to mention
can't
mention their names, but 4 of the major banks.
Wow.
And
but sorry, this story about the, is it in other papers?
Yes, all over the papers.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about that. All right, let's move on to the nation. Major headline. Pressure mounts on Jega to postpone elections. Borno residents hail action against Boko Haram. Okoya Thomas dies at 79, his last moments by son. All right, they want to postpone these elections. Did anybody read that article?
They don't want to. People are saying they should.
Pressurizing to postpone the election. Governor Fashola, why do you think they're doing this? Because I'm hearing a lot of conspiracy theories here and there. Why doing this or why they're not doing it?
Well, you can't put your hand really on anything as a basis for seeking to postpone the election. But when you've done this business for the time that I have done it, you begin to see that there's a momentum change. A lot of people have decided that they're going to vote APC, and you begin to see that the party that started campaigning 1 year before the election is thinking, hey, if we go to the polls, now they're seeing the numbers that everybody is seeing. They're seeing the momentum change. The momentum is there in the air, and you can't miss it. That for me is probably the only reason why you can see. Now let's be quick to acknowledge that there's still some work to be done with the PVCs, but it doesn't make sense. I haven't gotten my PVC. It doesn't make sense if you started campaigning for an election 1 year before it was called, and if you are in a position of strength, you will really be pushing to have the elections hold rather than have them cancelled.
Yes, because they're saying that only about 40-something million right now, 47 million have their PVCs. But I'm hoping to get mine Thursday. They told me to come back on Thursday, so hopefully.
Yeah, but INEC have said that they have.
I know Jega is supposed to make an announcement today, right? To let us know if there's going to be.
If I might weigh in, the indications are that they would be distributing now from the polling units instead of from the ward collation centers. Okay. So people will be expected to go back to the places where they normally vote and where things took place. And that I believe should start tomorrow. I will get confirmation later today.
I'll go check mine on Thursday.
I don't think they will postpone these elections though.
All right, moving on to Vanguard. Major headline. Jonathan's campaign ground bombed. 2 killed at Gombe Stadium 3 minutes after president left. Goodness. Another explosion rocks court premises in Rivers. 6 trillion naira stolen yearly from Nigeria, says AU report. Kerry's insults. Joke. Ambassador Keshi. Kokwanso, transforming Kano via open governance. And we talked about the late socialite Molade Okoya Thomas died at 79. This bombing that took place, I know you read that story?
I was trying to pick the story of the Akwa Ibom because in the Punch it was captured that some 3 guys died in Akwa Ibom in the campaign, the PDP campaign, and when the reports came out, they said something about collecting money, that they shared money, and I think somebody didn't get money, and it resulted in a fight, and people ended up dying. So when they were interviewed, the young guys were saying they don't have jobs, they don't have anything. So most times they look out for this election campaign grounds to go and get money.
Let me engage the governor for a second, because we're talking about election violence, you know, this war of words, people throwing bombs here or trying to just cause some kind of unnecessary commotion, confusion with doing these rallies. What is your take on it? We've been hearing various APC versus PDP saying this against each other. What are your thoughts on this election?
Well, let me say that we must all remember that there has been this bombing incidents as a matter of national insecurity long before we move into elections. But the much that I know, that in all the time that I have been involved in politics, I can't fathom what we sit down to plan is how to debate the opposition, how to mobilize more people to vote for us, how, for example, to raise funds, how perhaps if we hear that there's a strategy that the opposition is thinking about, how to preempt it by a press conference, or perhaps whether we are taking a decision whether to challenge a particular petition in court or to challenge. We don't sit down to plan violence. So, and this is important. I also understand that when you look at the way that we have progressed as a nation, I think people must become even more enlightened. And as we become more enlightened, education is important in that process. People will understand the nature of this contest. And you will see even in our football, I always like to make football an example because I believe that football is life. And many things that we experience in our daily lives happens on a football field. And you will see that it's oftentimes in the African context perhaps that you will see football matches turning violent. It doesn't mean that they haven't happened in Europe, but over time they've overcome it. And even when the umpire gets the results wrong, gives a wrong penalty, the fans can go home now knowing that he didn't intend to help one side cross the line. And they know that there is another day to contest. And I think that attitude helps. sometimes we are not yet perhaps ready to accept the winner-takes-all concept of democracy.
Yes.
And if you look at the traditional African way of resolving disputes, you find that it's based often on arbitration. There is some guilt apportioned this way, a little apportioned that way, and they say, you know what, go home and you go and make peace. The Western way of resolving problems, winner takes all, is not something that has yet sunk with us.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't even blame the political parties for the violence. I blame
the followers.
The followers. It's actually the followers that are causing these problems, the followers that are stoning the president, the followers that are bombing the courts in River State. So isn't there a way we can talk to these people to curb their violence?
This case here, na hunger kosam. They were hungry, you know, they are jobless. So I don't really blame the followers. I blame it on the fact that there's no good governance. If those people had jobs and they were sitting in an office, I don't think they'll come out to say they want to go and die over 2,000 naira. Well,
I believe, if I may, that we must condemn every act of violence. For me, violence has never been a strategy. It doesn't solve things. It complicates things. And as I say to those who plan to make war, it is more important to learn how to make peace, because every war must end. And if you don't plan how to make peace, then, I mean, you may end up having a war that consumes you yourself.
All right, let's go. Let's take our last paper for this morning, The Guardian. Jonathan receives NNPC audit report, pledges speedy action. Confab delegates others seek postponement of 2015 polls. Buhari declines debate. PDP others berate him. Ebola vaccines trial starts in Liberia. And Egypt confirms death sentence for 183. Let's talk about this audit, this NNPC audit. Goodness me. They presented it to the president, and the president said that the Attorney General will look through it. It's very voluminous. He will look through it, and
Auditor General.
The Auditor General will look through it and then give us the highlights, and then he'll make that public.
That is where I have a problem.
Okay.
If they have a forensic report, there should be a conclusion on this is what
has happened,
our findings on the report. You know, something that we can give to the press, that they can give back to us, that we settle our affairs. But you know, this is what bothers me. One is that this report is coming because people have started talking.
Yes, now.
This government is always reacting. People have started questioning things. So those article came out, the reply between himself and the finance
minister. Shouldn't we wait for the report to come out? It just
the report came out now, and they are saying, let me quote this day, saying it's voluminous. I will give it to the professionals. That is going back to another set of bodies. In government, there are people who have the statutory responsibilities to handle assignments as this. The Auditor General's office and all that.
All right, let me get the governor's response to this.
Well, it's one step forward as far as I'm concerned, but it's a little too late. First, in the context of what the APC presidential candidate said yesterday, this was one of the issues that he raised, and now you see that the government is in a reactive position. So, and you must look at it in that light. When did they receive the report? And there are coincidences here that, 24 hours after the APC presidential candidate made it an issue, okay, the report suddenly comes out. And Nima took the wind out of my sail, really, when she said, look, I've been in government for 12 years now, and I know that when they present reports to you, there's always an executive summary. Chief executive should be able to read an executive summary that shouldn't, in the real extreme cases, it shouldn't be more than 10 pages if it's such a really voluminous. Otherwise, it should be 3 pages highlighting what is in the volumes and volumes. And when you follow the style of this government, in the last 4 years, I have a list of the number of committees they've set up. And when they get, I follow this government seriously. So when they get the report of a committee, they set up a committee to go and review the report of the committee. And it's the same thing they've done with promises, attract every promise they've made. So, I mean, these are the electoral issues.
Okay, all right. That's it on Front Page Review. When we come back, more on the 8 years of Governor Fashola and the future of Governor Fashola's administrations and other things he'll be doing. Achievements. Stay with us. We'll be right back. welcome back. Right, I forgot to mention and pick up the fact that Chief Molade Okoya Thomas died at the age of 79, which means he's so rest in peace. I mean, he's an exceptional entrepreneur. He was an industrialist and a philanthropist also. Chancellor of Lagos State University when I was there. And I, in my years in the university, I've always heard that people donated, halls or classrooms and all that to the school. But I saw what he donated. The sports center made our sports center one of the best in Nigeria. Wow, that's fantastic. So he's so rest in peace.
I met him a couple of times. Humble to the core. Wow. Never seen such a thing. Lovely man.
I know he works with the government, and he's always available. He's like a father to a lot of our leaders. And I don't want to say one or two things.
Well, I visited the family yesterday, and it's really difficult to come to terms that he's no longer with us because he was somebody that we all seem to think that will be there for forever, and extremely humble. His loyalty to this state and everything that had to do with this state was undoubted, and he stayed the course. He was a real patriot and an outstanding ambassador for Lagos.
All right, let's take some tweets, because I know people are tweeting seriously.
Seriously. This is from Yesho Okwara. Governor in the building, care. I am standing in my office singing the national anthem. I love BRF.
As Idris is saying, I can't help but envy Lagosians for Governor Fashola. Let me be the first to advocate that in the next government, he should be made power minister. Maybe power minister. But it's true, because I was going to talk about the independent power project I noticed is working for those people living in Alausa. I have an aunt that lives there. I wish that you could just be in the entire Lagos state.
Ayodele says Governor Fashola is the man. I hope his successor can do better, even better.
Good morning, ladies. Yippee! Governor Fashola in the building. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right, let's talk about your achievements in the last 8 years, because I know there's so many things I want to talk to you about this morning. I knew Lagos before you came on. So I can categorically say I've seen the difference. I knew what Lagos used to be. I knew we didn't have a lot of traffic lights. Last month wasn't that effective. So many things we've seen in the last 8 years, and we believe you've been successful. But how would you rate yourself in this past 8 years of your administration?
Well, I think first is you can't really isolate the last 8 years from the one before it.
True.
There's a momentum and a team effort here, and this is why the next elections are important as far as experience is concerned. And I was in the first team, so it was easier for me to get going with the things and give things my own view. But as I said to people, this is all about human life. Being governor is about being responsible for human beings. And so the problems won't go away, and they never end. As you solve one, another one appears. And indeed, the more problems you solve, the more challenges you create for yourself. Now, in terms of rating, I honestly can't rate myself because I haven't had time to look back. I'm still focused on the next 100 and something days left to finish. And as I said, my job ends on May 29.
Challenges, because I noticed in some places where you would put street lights, they will work for a while, then they will stop working. What did you do to people in that kind of? Then I remember the Oronshoke expressway. You had commissioned someone to put plants there. The plants, they came and then they died. Then I think you sacked that team, and now we have a nice, it's a very pleasant drive that's towards Third Mainland. How do you,
enforce
that kind of thing?
Well, excuse me. The landscaping you talked about, for example, I make sure that I go round this state. I'm not a one-route person, so I like to see the state from different routes. So, and all I'm doing is looking out for what is not working. and my ADC and my orderly have their notepads in the car. So we don't read newspapers in the car. So, and we're taking notes. What's not working? What needs to be fixed? We're having a council meeting once I leave here. And I'm sure once I get into council, they give it to me. Okay, boss, these are the notes we've taken in the last 1 week. So we're telling works, we're telling fiscal planning, we're telling environment. We saw this problem, we saw this problem. And once we discuss it in ESCO, it's recorded. So it becomes an issue you must come back to report that it has been solved.
So let me, I'd like to talk, Nima. I wanted to say something, because you mentioned your previous administration before yours. The truth is, now we're talking as leader to the followers. Forget the cameras. We are here, we want to hear you tell us. Ashwaju, some people know him, some people don't know him. Some people there's this perception of this Jagaban somewhere, you know, he did this, he takes all our money, he does that, you know. There's so many stories out there. You know him more than we do. You work with him, and you've been loyal. We've seen that you've been loyal, because he's your leader indeed. Sell him to us. Let us know who he is. Tell us what you know about him that we don't know. Maybe to help us to change our perception of this figure called Jagaban.
I think the point to make is that I've known him now since around 1989 or 1991. 1989, 1991, just before he went to this Senate, when he was working in Mobile. So, and that's how our paths cross. But working with him at close quarters, I think that's why he has confounded his opponents. His looks belie his capacity, his thinking capacity, and that's the most. So those looks deceive you, and before you know it, you're off your feet, really. And he's no saint. Nobody is. I am not. And when you look at the passion and the commitment with which he has pursued causes that he's believed in, you will understand. He's been betrayed by quite a few people he's helped, that to my own knowledge. But I think my sense of him is that in spite of all our imperfections, I'd rather be fighting in his corner than in some other corners. Really. That's the truth.
All right. So, I am a good, a strong believer.
Don't mind her. Just one Lagos home.
Wait now. Let me finish my question. You know, and for me, you know, the joy I had was that I didn't have to know anybody in government. All I needed to do was do the right thing, pay my taxes, you know, be a good citizen of the state. And I was able to benefit from it, despite the fact that I'm from Edo State. I don't have any links with
Lagosians. Us Lagos, real Lagosians like us.
Real Lagosians like her. Because I was listening to the PDP gubernatorial candidate talking about cheap housing, and I know it's not something that is very, very feasible in Lagos with the conditions of Lagos. So how, how feasible is it? Because people are still complaining that, okay, Lagos homes is good,
middle class,
but it's quite expensive, blah, 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 you know, so.
It's not limited to the middle class alone. Okay. The problem is not limited to this. You see, I mean, the problem of affordability is not limited to Lagos alone. It's a national problem. And you see, I have never made promises to the public in order to get votes without having some clarity about how I intend to actualize what I have promised. And so when that candidate comes out to say he's going to build X thousand number of homes without telling us what the price is, what the size is, it tells you clearly that he's presenting his position from an uninformed and an inexperienced position. The truth is that when you talk about the cost of those flats, one of the things you will find out, because I was involved in the design of the apartments, one of the things you will find out is that the one-bedroom flat is larger than any one-bedroom flat you will find in Lagos, if not in the whole country. Sure. Excuse me. I sat down with the architects and I said, look, we want ordinary people ultimately to be able to afford these things. And sometimes they have, if you look at somebody maybe level 5 or level 7 or whatever. Give them more room, because I've lived in places where we had next door neighbors who was 1 bedroom and a family of 5. So I understand it. I grew up in Ijesha, so I understand it. So, and I said, give them more room.
Did you have shoes?
I had shoes. The way they live is that if you go in there, a part of the room is partitioned with a curtain, and that's their living area.
Yes.
And the other side, I say, give them more room. So it's no less, I think it's 60-something square meters. You won't find any 1 bedroom of 60-something square meters.
We have to take a quick break. We have to take a quick break because we have to pay our bills. When we come back, still more on Governor Fashola. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. All right, let's start with Nima. Go ahead.
Welcome, sir. Please, I know that you've been a regular visitor in our area, Mile 2, Badagry Expressway. Okay. We commend the works. I see the works. The rail lines are on all the way to Alaba. We commend all that. But then there's this one way. During the continuous registration, I had to go to Ojo to do mine. Close to there's this road called Tedimu Road, just a border town between. That road is the alternative from Abule Osun into that area out on the Alaba Olojo Drive. That road is the alternative to all the traffic we suffer on the Badagry Expressway. But why is the development on that road so sluggish? You know, it's taking too many years. If
you have followed, as you probably have, you will know that there's a bridge there.
Yes.
And the bridge work, which was the most difficult part of the work, has been finished. Now, the road works have been awarded to lead on to the bridge. We had some difficulties with the contractor. We had to change the contractor, terminate the contract, and re-award. So that's the problem.
The industries around Abule Osun,
yes,
into that area, there are so many industries.
There are tankers and all of that, trailers block the place.
What do you do to check them? Because, you know, they are the ones damaging the road.
You know, ultimately, if you keep complaining that the road will be damaged and therefore you won't do anything, my attitude always is fix it first, give relief to citizens. The long-term solution really is to build rail. And that is why when the federal government says it is building rail and celebrating and cartwheeling all over the place, and our rail is not moving heavy-duty equipment, it's not moving containers, it's not moving petrol, you just laugh. Look, if you know Adeni Jones Avenue, there used to be a rail track, and traces of it are still there, to connect the main rail to the industrial estate, to Ikeja Industrial Estate, during the time of Obafemi Awolowo in the Western region. So it was a bypass, because that is the way you save roads. So when you are having this, but we will solve the problem, and the industries themselves don't exist in a vacuum. They exist to produce goods and services that we consume. They exist also to provide jobs. So we're in a situation where you currently can't win until you have a national government that focuses on its responsibilities and deals with them decisively.
But most of these projects, you've started them off, because that's what a lot of people are afraid of, that if, peradventure, even if the same party, if the man behind the seat does not bear the same vision with you, and the person doesn't see the way you see, because this is the first time ever I'll see any housing being built. If you go into those houses, you will see normal people, workers living. It's not like before that a government official that has so much money will just come buy up everything and have to rent and all that. So what is the plan for continuity for most of this project? I mean, the vision now, what is your expectation from the next coming governor?
Well, the way to continue really is to vote for what works for you. Okay. And I say this, that one of the things we probably have not celebrated, if there was anything that we should be celebrating, because it's the people of Lagos that I think deserve all of the credit rather than anybody. But one of the things that I think I'm very proud of is the institutions that we have built. and things have started working whether the governor is around or the governor is not around.
Great.
People are holding on. So the next governor should find things easier to propel forward and add his own touch and color to things. But back to housing quickly. One of the things that we were accused of, even whilst we were building, was that we had sold the houses to ourselves. And it was a big debate in our committee when I said, look, let's put these houses online. And they said, no, there are some people who are not educated, that they couldn't get it on. And I said, look, listen, I know that if these people want to go for Hajj, if they want to go to America, if they want to go to Dubai, they go online. Somebody can process it for them. And in that way, reduce pressure on our staff, reduce pressure on ourselves, and show that if you have complied with all the conditions, you pay your tax, you are not a tax dodger, you show that you live in Lagos, because we don't want to build houses for people who don't pay taxes here, they buy it and then, and that system has worked.
Yes. Let me continue that question. I'll come to the twist, because it's a related question. The next governor, we've seen you at the campaign rallies, APC, and we've seen everybody saying everything, oh, somebody this, somebody that. Once again, governor to the governed, father to the daughters. Do you trust somebody?
I do.
To take this state,
this vision further.
Not campaign, no. Do you believe in him to take this thing? I do,
absolutely. You see, first of all, I worked with him when I was chief of staff, when we had the local government crisis.
Okay.
We were dealing with the financial angle, myself and Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who was the Attorney General. Him and Asiwaju were dealing with the financing angle. That was how the team functioned. So, and that was how we kept the local governments alive. So that's one. He worked with me as Accountant General when I became governor for 6 years. He left in the second term. He said he wanted to go and take leadership courses, and he felt he wanted to do something else, that he had spent too much time. I was sorry to see him go, and that was why you see in the letter accepting his resignation, I couldn't help but commend him.
Okay. All right.
There's this tweet from Alex Adigbite. He says, I imagine this is Governor Fashola. Good morning, sir. Please, when will you commence on the real work? And then there is this one. Good day, dear Mr. Governor. Can you tell Lagos State University students when and how our school fees will be refunded?
Okay, let me take the last question first, because I've had discussions with some of the students about it. I think that over the last 8 years, you must come to trust us that if we make a public commitment, we will discharge it. And if you realize that these monies that we have to refund, right, were not paid at once. They were paid by different students over different academic sections. All of that is paperwork that has to be verified. So that's one issue. But the news that might interest you is that the collation has been done. It's in the region of 840 million or thereabouts, about proof that it should be paid. And then it has to move to the next step, get the money to pay it, because we didn't keep that money anywhere. So get the money to pay it. Maybe we're going to pay it in tranches, maybe we're going to pay one academic session or the other. If, for example, we come out and say, okay, we'll pay those who paid first, but we're trying to do everything together. So just be patient with us. We need to do things properly, and for record's sake and all of that. And about the rail has started, but you haven't seen the trains running. There's a lot of work going on. We finished the first section, and these things are built in sections. Even the most recent ones, the Dubai Metro and the Washington Metro, I don't know if that's completed now. They're built in sections. You don't just go out and build. So we took section 1, and section 1 was from mile 2 to Costain, inside the National Theatre. That's finished. The 4 stations are completed. 8 kilometers of track has been laid. The next section is the section that goes from Costain National Theatre to Marina. That's a 5-kilometer section. It's the most difficult section because we are going over water now, and we are piling every inch of the way. And you will see, if you drive on the Eco Bridge, that the piling work is going on. Now, the first train has been ordered because we have to test for safety and reliability. Then we need electricity because we are not using diesel trains like the federal government is using, because we are the champions of environmental cleanup. So we're going to use electric trains. So we also need signaling and communication to be installed on the whole. So all those contracts are either being issued or have been issued and contractors are mobilizing. So we have to find power, and we found power. So these are the issues that are going. The power? Our own IPP. Okay. We're going to supply power from our own IPP.
When you say you found power, it's as if you just did like power. No,
power is not rocket science. If people focus on the real issues, just like General Buhari said yesterday, that they were focused on a signing ceremony, power reform, as if that was a silver bullet. But the real work is connecting the bolts and nuts and making sure that the system works.
All right. We'll have to take a quick break, pay some more bills. When we come back, we'll take some phone calls from our viewers. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. All right, let's take one or two tweets, please.
Okay. Okwala AO says, sir, as a lawyer and knowing the kind of personality that you are, is there any proof for the alleged tax evasion of Jimmy Agbaje?
Well, the issue about his tax evasion is related to the property at number 9 Randall Close, and that is where JK Pharmacy Limited operates from. And be clear that there are two properties here. There's one at Bombay Crescent, number 1 Bombay Crescent, which presumably is his residence. And that was the one that there are no tax issues about. And that's the one the government issued a commendation letter, because we acknowledge when you pay to us.
Ah, you have not issued to us.
You will get one. It's his party. It is his own party that is struggling to account for monies that they collect.
I'm offended.
No, but the point is that as far as the JK Pharmacy property is concerned, there's outstanding tax for 2009, 2010, 11, and 12. Right. He paid 2013 and 2014. And so this won't go away.
Okay.
Unless it is paid. And it's money that will help the local governments and the primary schools that is so concerned about.
Let me take this call from James. I don't want to lose this call. Good morning, James. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Good morning.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I want to say kudos to our Honorable Governor Fashola.
Yes, sir.
But my major concern is when you get to streets of the Lagos State, you see some of these Agburo collecting money from conductors and fighting and those. What are the measures to stop those people? Because they are causing nuisance in the Lagos State.
All right. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. These are some of the things that the road traffic law was supposed to deal with. And we've been implementing these solutions in phases. Now, some of the things we are telling the motor parks also is that, look, we really must get people out of parks. We really must modernize the parks in a way that it is safe. It becomes an office place. Because some of the things I've asked them is that, can you bring your children to where you work? And that's the way I've set the agenda for them, that you can come to my office, my kids can come here. And they said no. And they said, but transport business is a very, very good business if you organize it very well. So we will help to organize it. So it's one problem at a time. And that's why I said earlier in the program, the problems don't go away.
Okay. I need to ask a question.
Good morning, Bimpe. Are you there?
Hello, good morning.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to give kudos to Excellency. Your Excellency, sir, you are blessing your own generation. You are not a failure. Your own generation has not failed.
Thank you.
We love you. Thank you for taking Lagos to the heights. God bless you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
YK.
I have a personal question.
Personal?
Yes, because, you know, most political leaders, governors, they always get fat and chubby.
You have not gotten round at
in
all.
government. You have remained slim and trim. In fact, maybe you have even lost weight. How did you do that?
You don't know he's a sportsman.
Let me ask my question finish.
I think it's slightly...
And it's 2 questions. The second one is, how do you fend off the girls that are chasing you?
Mosquitoes.
Even in this studio, I've seen a lot of them wearing mini because you are here.
Well, I think my physique is largely hereditary and genetic, and then I don't eat at night. I eat breakfast and lunch, and if I miss lunch and it gets too late, I wait till the next morning. But I take a lot of fluids, and I play soccer. I try to play soccer twice a week, but right now for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, elections have made that impossible. The guys have been texting me that, look, this is getting difficult. When are you going to come and play? So
I have Joel. I know
second question.
We can't ask. We've been asking us since morning.
You didn't answer the second one now.
Yes, answer. Joel, can I take this
second question?
How do you fend off the girls?
I don't fend off. I just get on with my job.
Joel, good morning, Joel. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Hello.
Please go ahead, very quickly.
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning.
My question for Governor Fashola. What I want to ask is why is it that the car now they have left the road?
The line is
Then
You can't hear you. Sorry. You can't hear you.
Sorry, I wanted to find out.
No, Nima's been waiting, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The Eco-Atlantic, Coastal Ways, Lekki, and all that, we see a lot of developments. What restrictions do you have as regards Badagry? Because I see Badagry as very commercially viable.
I don't have restrictions as far as Badagry is concerned. What you must understand also is the nature of the work that is being done in Badagry. We are expanding a 3-lane highway to a 10-lane highway. Now, essentially, if you know the Badagry corridor, that road had been in the works for well over 20-something years. Several military governments had demolished trying to start that expansion, but it never quite happened. Now, that corridor is also very swampy. So we have to go and get sand, sometimes from the sea, sometimes from outside Lagos, in order to fill and to create the base for the road. So it's a lot of work. It's the largest single project we are executing in the state, the rail and that road combined. And that's why when I laugh when people say, oh, this is an elitist government. I say, if the people who live in Badia, who live in Ijora, who live in Orile, who live in Amukoko, who live in Iba, Iyanoba, Okoko, and all of those, Oduade, if those people are elites, I'm happy to serve them.
Sorry, for me, I just want to say I commend you a lot because I know that what I've seen in Lagos State government offices, they are not like the Lagos State government offices that we used to go to before. I must commend you. And I'm sure you must have had a lot of enemies, you know, because for you to put those rules on ground, it's so professional.
Interestingly, I didn't have enemies.
Are you sure?
Look, getting people to embrace an idea is first challenging, but when you sell the merit of the idea to them, this journey started since 1999, and we're taking it one step at a time, one step at a time. Let's improve.
We don't have many more time.
No, I just want to say that if he's running for presidency, please know that you have number one, what's it called, fan club.
Thank you so much, Governor Fashola, for being here. We appreciate you. We wanted to present you with a parting gift, pictures of the ladies of your view, so you remember us.
Yes,
please put it in your office or put it somewhere you always see it.
Please,
thank you. I'll keep it.
All right. Thank you so much. Our regards to your wife.
I don't know why they are presenting me pictures of our faces. I personally don't know.
Oh, okay. What are you suggesting, Waike?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. The other ladies of the view are here. Please, would you like to come on stage? We have just a few seconds. We have Jumoke in the building. Where's Tope?
Tope is not here.
Oh. Please come in. Come and stay.
Hello, Jumoke. How are you doing?
You're not on schedule today, but we just thought it was important that you come around. Thank you so much, Governor.
Good morning. How are you?
So, on behalf of the ladies of your view, thank you so much, sir.
Sandy. Well done.
For being here. Don't forget to watch a repeat broadcast of this program at 11:30 p.m. tonight. You can also watch previous episodes by going to YouTube. Tope in the building!
You see what I've been talking about?
somebody leaves. All right, so thank you so much. Bye-bye. Your vote is your right. Be giving my PVC. Don't say it. Don't say it. Ladies, one at a time. Let's do you have your PVC, sir?
Not yet, but it's more important that the people of Lagos collect theirs before I collect mine.
Yeah. Oh, that's so diplomatic.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.